Hi there. So I clicked on a video thinking it was a review from good friend of the channel, Celise, over at Sweet and Spooky, and it turns out that it isn't. It's somebody who has critique. I got about a minute into it before I had to stop it and decide to react to it for the rest of you, because it seems like it's been a while. I always get myself in trouble with the horror community, sticking up for people that probably wouldn't say things themselves. But this, we'll see. I could have a bad first impression. I do think it's odd for somebody to use somebody else's video as their thumbnail, and at them in the title of the video. But again, open-minded, as even though I've seen the first minute of this, somebody has things to say about a review that Sweet and Spooky did, and evidently reacted to it. This person's channel has no content where they themselves get in front of a camera. It just seems like they just talk over other people's material and have a lot of, I don't know, I get a very Elliot Rodger vibe from this person. Lots of hatred directed at one thing. Hint, it does not have a penis. So let's get into the review of a fictional film. I'm over here now. Hi. So let's do this.
All right, it's finally happened, everyone.
It's finally happened.
Someone came out with this film called Men, where the monster of the film is just the average guy. It's men. It's a giant neon sign saying this is feminist propaganda.
It's not a neon sign. It is just a word with a border. That's not neon. Neon is what you would call the thing floating around my head right now. That's neon. Really bright. It usually neon is hot white in the middle with color on the border. This, what you're looking at, is just the word men in red. So there, that's one.
And it was made by this guy.
Oh, also, does not say feminist propaganda. It just says men.
Alex Garfield. Now, Alex Garfield made this film called Ex Machina.
Nominated for an Oscar for writing, won an Oscar for FX.
And I made a video about this long ago, telling you, hey, this is an obvious feminist film. Here he is, the maker of the robot, I should say. He clubs her and he's dragging her back to her cell where she has no freedom and she's just a sex slave.
How is that feminist? What you just described is the opposite of feminism. That is the polar opposite of feminism. Feminism would be her knocking him out and then dragging him to make him her slave. Like, do you understand what the word feminist means?
And I've been gaslit by guys.
Gaslit. I love the word gaslit. That was nowhere near the forefront until 5 years ago.
Desperate to avoid this and say, oh, well, what it is, it's a deep, discussion about consciousness. What is consciousness and identity and blah, blah. I said, no, this is what the film is about. And Alex Garfield, of course, is...
No, it's not about identity. It's not deeper than that. It's just a movie about feminism where she's a slave. He points out one little scene from a fucking twice over Oscar nominated film and tells you that it's not deep. It's just about feminism. Because here's a frame. That's all I have to say about that.
Now, put out this giant neon sign that you can't deny it anymore.
Again, you don't know what feminism means, apparently, and you clearly don't know what neon means.
And that's people's real issue with this, is they can't deny it anymore.
Deny what? Deny that it's what?
Now, I'm going to respond to this young lady's.
See, now, if you look at the title, it says men is trash. I would interpret that as the film is trash. If Celise were to be speaking about the gender, perhaps Celise would say something like, men are trash. Pronouns. I realize how much that must make you angry, but
sweet and spooky, because she's going to expose herself in her own critique of it.
My sweeties, and welcome back to my channel. If you don't already know me, my name is Celise, and thank you for joining my spooky little family. In today's video, we will be talking about men. Let's get into the video.
This young lady is very cringy, I know.
what is cringy about it? The guy who shows you a frame of a film and says, this is actually about feminism. She's his slave. That's what feminism is. This red word is neon. They can't hide it anymore. That's cringy. When you talk like you're an authority figure and you are so far off the mark. That's cringy. At least she's in front of the fucking camera, bro.
I never knew I would sit here on this channel and say we are talking about men, but here I am.
By the way, I find the YouTubers that drink wine from the glass very pretentious.
I have my...
Why is it pretentious? She's having a drink from a glass. It's wine. Would you prefer it milk? A nice wholesome drink like milk?
favorite Pinot Noir here ready, because we've got a lot to unpack with this one.
What is there to unpack? It's a feminist propaganda film. It's a man-hating propaganda film. That's its purpose. There's no depth to this story at all.
Well, how do you know that? I'm dying to know if this person has seen the film, first of all. Second of all, the person clearly can't trace that Celise is using a bit of satire in the fact that she said, I would never have thought that I would be talking about men on this channel. It's a wink. It's humor.
Oh boy. Written and directed by Alex Garland, starring Jessie Buckley and Rory Kinnear, Men follows a young woman who goes on a solo vacation to the English countryside following the death of her ex-husband.
Who is abusive, of course, right?
So I went into this film not having read a synopsis, nor did I see a trailer, so I only knew of the title and that it was from A24, and I was already sold. Now,
I don't know anything about A24, but
Well, thank God you're making an authoritative commentary video on it then, huh?
supposedly they must have done some good work.
Yeah. They have a bunch of Oscars in their arsenal. Tool.
That doesn't matter.
Oh, yeah. No, whether or not you know what you're doing and you're qualified, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
now, I went to see this on Friday and I came out feeling really conflicted.
Really said, this is what I'm exposing, guys. There's nothing to be conflicted about. This is a hateful propaganda against one sex.
It's also fiction. If that's the case, it's fiction. If you can divulge and let us know why, that would be swell.
50% of the population. So this
It's actually not 50% of the population. There are more women than there are men on the earth.
is what this young lady is showing what women feel. She feels conflicted. I don't feel conflicted.
Yeah, you just seem angry.
I am disgusted.
About what? Explain your feelings. Share your feelings with the group.
At this hate propaganda.
Do you know what the word propaganda is? For fuck's sake.
So the fact that she feels conflicted says something about her character.
No, she's a critic who's conflicted about how she feels about a piece of art. Holy fuck, not everything is a message. Do you understand that this fucking incel, like, anti-woke culture on YouTube is insane, that they try to make everything about their message. And it's ironic that they talk about fucking propaganda. Dude, you have yet to explain what about it is propaganda. It's the title. It's neon. It says men, so that means anti-men. It's propaganda. No, the title is men. And it's in red, not neon, you fucking dolt.
So I decided to process it for the night, and then I went to see it again last night. And
one viewing wasn't enough to say, oh, this hateful propaganda film is terrible.
All right, so you're putting words in her mouth at this point. This hateful propaganda film, she said she needed to process it. If you feel that it's targeted against men as a man, I don't know if you can recognize this, but that human being right there is not a man. So it is a different side of the coin. It is a completely different perspective. So while you may be angry, she has a different perspective completely. How difficult is that to understand?
Because it's a hateful propaganda film.
And
How many times? Take a shot every time this guy says hateful propaganda.
my second watch just helped solidify what I had been feeling. Now, before I go on a whole wild rant right now, let me talk about some things that I actually liked. There is some really good
Can you imagine, like, if the Klan made a propaganda film against black men, and I went to see it, then I came back and said, let me talk about the things I liked about this film. Think about that.
camera work and beautiful cinematography.
She's talking about the technical aspects, the camera work and the cinematography. That has nothing to do with messaging. Zero. You are so hell-bent on your propaganda fucking narrative that you're just overlooking the fact that there are people on YouTube that cover movies and cover everything about the movie and not just what the message is. Like, you can make a movie. Shit, you can make a movie and not say a word. Shit, they used to do that all the time about 100 years ago. It's possible. I don't know if you can let that through your thick skull, but it's possible. Filmmaking is more than just a message, believe it or not.
Here. I also really liked the haunting imagery that's used throughout the film. It did add a level of intensity that was really nice. Sequences like the tunnel scene and the church flashback are meticulously crafted and well thought out. The performances here are also very good. Rory Kinnear essentially plays all of the men, which from an acting standpoint, I think was absolutely amazing.
Yeah, but that also tells us something else. He did, 15 different roles? But in other words, they're all different kind of men, and all of them are evil because they're men. So it doesn't matter, all you guys listening, it doesn't matter what kind of guy you are. To be born male is to be the monster, according to this film.
I genuinely want this person to review the movie without commenting on somebody else's review of the movie. Every single man in this film is a woman-hating misogynist. Is that what you're telling me? Have you seen the movie? I'm dying to know if this person's even seen the fucking movie.
Albeit questionable in context, but we'll get back to that in the rant. Each character he plays, he gives very unique mannerisms and dialects to, and it made the world feel so real. And this is where the story...
So the reality of this world is that there's one woman and no, there's no other women in this film. There's just her and all the rest are men. That's reality.
It goes...
Oh, but I thought it was 50-50.
Downhill. It's kind of hard to discuss this movie because essentially there is no story, and I don't mean that in a rude way.
Of course there's a story. The story is men are evil and women are good. That's the story.
Dude, I don't think you understand film criticism like whatsoever. She's not disagreeing with you. She's saying that this film is empty as far as a story is concerned. You're plugging in your own private narrative. She is, again, the title is Men is Trash. The film is trash. What are you going on about?
Like, the story is really an afterthought. The story takes a backseat to Alex Garland's poor analysis of what it's like to be a woman. It's almost as if he came up with the idea that he wanted to write a movie about how men treat women in society and couldn't get past the outline stage. He relies heavily on cliched versions of discourse.
Well, of course, because feminist propaganda is a cliche.
What?
There's no depth to this. You can't have any depth to this.
She said the same fucking thing, you dolt.
Because in reality, men care for women.
Okay.
And women are indifferent to men. So you can't have...
Right. All men care for women. There's never been domestic abuse, ever. All men care for women. Now who's spitting out propaganda? Get a hold of yourself.
Can't have anything deep about this. You can only go surface level.
She said that.
Instead of actually understanding what that discourse is trying to say. And not only...
He understands perfectly. He goes by what you gals say, and he puts it...
Gals? What is this, the fucking 40s? Gals? Are you going to drop a dame on us before this video is over?
On screen. And that's your issue, is that you're being exposed for how you view us.
Only does
What?
Can only go surface level.
instead of actually understanding what that discourse is trying to say. And not only
He understands perfectly. He goes by what you gals say and he puts it on screen.
How do you know that?
And that's your issue, is that you're being exposed for how you view us.
does
So she thinks the movie sucks because it exposes how gals feel?
he not understand it because he is not a woman. He doesn't even understand it well as a man. So there's that. Everything about this movie is surface level. Even
He doesn't know his place. Like I said, surface level. If you want depth in the film, it's got to be based on truth.
That's not
A
entirely.
feminist propaganda
Dude, you're talking about the guy who made Annihilation. Go watch Annihilation and then break that down for me, simply.
is not truth, and therefore it can have no depth.
Truth has no depth.
Do you understand that?
the characterization
Do you understand what words mean?
of her abusive ex-husband sounds like it came straight from a soap opera.
Well, no offense, but
I love this. I can't wait. The no offense, but
my ex-partner abused me is the go-to bullshit line that women give for everything. So I think this guy has nailed it right on the head.
so every female has been abused by an ex-partner? But I thought men take care of women. You've just defeated your own argument within 3 minutes.
Couldn't actually think of ways men treat women, so he just made him physically and emotionally abuse her.
Well, lady, you can't think of it because men treat women like gold.
So you're saying the fact that she's turned off that a fictional film has surface level writing, and the fact that it has a man who is abusive towards a female, like you said earlier, men take care of women. She doesn't buy it, so essentially she doesn't buy the movie because it's unrealistic, just like you said earlier. Men take care of women. Even she is saying it's unbelievable.
So this film can't exist if you wanted to show the truth.
What is the truth?
And what she's really saying is this man doesn't know how to gaslight.
Dude, stop using big words that you hear in society.
Showing what we actually think about men, but he's doing it bluntly. So we can't. He's showing a mirror to us.
Cool. And the emotional abuse
And that mirror is not flattering.
honestly feels like he
Dude, how about you get on screen and we'll talk about mirrors and how people look and flattering.
just looked up the definition of gaslight on Google. This bleeds heavily into the story as well. Because he sees Jessie Buckley's character Harper as a vessel for women's trauma, he forgets to actually write her like a real person. And
If he wrote her like a real person, this film couldn't exist.
Yeah, no, women don't exist.
ironic.
That's it? That was all you had to say? If he wrote her like a real person, this movie wouldn't exist? What, there's no such thing as women? Come on, man.
Ironically, he doesn't even know how to write men characters either at this point. I don't know if
Of course, because it's a man-hating propaganda film. Men aren't actually like this.
Dude, Dude, she's saying the movie sucks.
Garland just hasn't met another human being. I mean, can we talk about the priest monologue at the end? What in the world was that? It's like Alex Garland was trying to reach the minimum word count on his essay about how scared he is of vaginas. It is so cringy.
So he was basically turning the men into incels, right? That's what it is. It's an incel slur. Okay.
Being afraid of vaginas is an incel slur? No. It's not an incel slur. The phrase you're looking for is Eurotophobia, which is the aversion to or dislike of female genitalia. That is not, unless, I mean, that's, I rarely hear that word, if ever, maybe twice in my life. If Eurotophobia is a slur against incels, then touche. But she said fear of vaginas, which translates to Eurotophobia. If that's a slur against incels, then we need to update Urban Dictionary.
And it was really hard to watch a second time, I am not gonna lie. The movie forgoes any depth and replaces it with flashy camera work and melodramatic dialogue.
Well, again, you can't have any depth to hate propaganda.
Okay.
Dude,
this kind of leads into my other issue. The standout performance is not from our leading lady, but from all 15 Rory Kinnears. Now, this part is going to be...
So he's a better actor than her. Okay.
but I thought women can't exist. If realistically women like that just don't exist, then that actress has nothing to do. So, of course, she's going to be outacted by your standards. If there's no such thing to act like, you've got nothing to do. Of course, you're going to be outshined.
Of a spoiler, so if you actually want to go and see Men...
I do not, so let's get to it.
Oh, so you haven't seen it. That's fantastic.
Maybe you want to click out now, but I think the ending requires its own discussion because it's really what ties together the shallowness of the story. So after the priest goes on his monologue about power, the men start giving birth to each other in an unending cycle.
So, what are you, gay? That's basically what he's saying. Why don't you guys just become gay if you have a problem with women who hate your guts?
If you don't know what she's talking about, how do you have a perspective to speak on? You haven't seen the movie. You're going on a female's perspective of a film about toxic men. And you have an angle to approach from. That, to me, makes no fucking sense whatsoever.
The way you were born. Why don't you just become gay? That's what he was. That was the end insult that he put in there.
How do you know? How do you know? If you haven't seen it, how do you know?
Yes, that legitimately happens. Eventually.
Also, it puts in the idea that men want to steal the ultimate giving birth to another person. Which, of course, is nonsense because we all know that the birth rate drops every time a country becomes wealthy and secure, which means women don't value giving birth either. So, there you go.
Have you been following the news at all this year? That men, specifically a whole bunch of men in the Supreme Court, have overturned the right to have an abortion? The pro-choice has the pro part has just been taken out. Abortions, if you get raped, if it's incest, you have to give birth to that. So I guess that's a plus in your category, huh?
It results in Harper's husband being the last form they take. Wow, I am like so shocked. This is like so deep, bro. He tells her that all he wants is her love, and it is implied in the epilogue that she kills him.
Of course, it's implied. It's not shown because then it would take away the victimhood status to see a woman actually murder a man, right?
Whose victimhood status? The woman?
But I think that's probably the only truthful thing that came out of this man-hating propaganda.
Dude, how can you talk about something you have not seen? That doesn't make any fucking sense to me. Do you know what? That's like me giving you a tourism guide on India. I've never fucking been there. But if I just said, oh man, it's crowded as fuck and it smells like dog shit, you don't want to go there. I've never been there, but I've seen pictures, so I trust me.
It's probably the only honest thing that was said, that the man actually just wants love with her.
Probably. How about you go watch the movie? Build your own opinion, not based on somebody's review of a movie, and attack it where you're essentially doubling down on things that she doesn't like about said movie.
And she kills him. Yeah, that sounds like what I've seen in real life.
You've seen women kill men in real life. How many times have you seen women kill men in real life? Have you reported it? Because, it's kind of your civic duty to do that.
Then the movie just ends. Like, that's it. I think what Alex Garland thinks he did was make an empowering scene where Harper defeats...
No, he thinks that he's giving you what you want.
How do you know? How do you know? How do you know what the scene is? How do you know what Alex Garland thinks? How do you know any of this? How can you correct somebody who's seen the movie twice on your zero experience of the film?
The cycle of violence, when in reality, the implication is that to end this cycle, a woman needs to bear the responsibility and teach men to do better. Which, honestly, fuck you. Look, I'm not even interested in discussing this film anymore, so...
Yeah, well, I'm not really interested in dealing with this response anymore.
Yet you still have 2 minutes to go.
So fuck you. So you're saying even the message of men to be good little guys, that's not good enough for you, right?
Wait, the message of men what?
And I'm not even interested in discussing this film anymore, so...
Yeah, well, I'm not really interested in dealing with this response anymore. So fuck you. So you're saying even the message of men to be good little guys.
The message of men to be good little guys?
That's not good enough for you.
That's not good enough for you.
Right. So, this is what you're dealing with, guys.
Wait, so is men about propaganda, or is it about how good men are? Please, person who has never seen the film, tell me, the studied film student, about what this film truly is about. I'm dying to know from somebody who has no experience with the film and has a message preloaded and clearly doesn't understand vocabulary like neon and propaganda.
This woman actually likes this film. She just hates the fact that it's blunt and honest about their man hatred.
How do you know that? Is she playing hard to get with the Men is Trash title? What makes you come to that conclusion? How do you process thoughts? It is what I'm curious about, because you know what the director meant. You know what the film is without seeing it. You know what she really means, despite her giving a film critique. What else do you know? What are the lottery numbers tomorrow?
He doesn't know how to gaslight well. Let me show you something. Let me show you. Let's see. We'll see a film that's done. There we go. No, that's wrong one. Here, just a minute. I'll get up the other one.
That's funny. Fat Cat did not produce Ex Machina. All right.
Yeah, Sin City. Sin City was done right. It was a popular film. And guess what happens in Sin Cities? All the men are bad guys. Well, not all the men. There's two kinds of men. The men that hurt women are the bad guys, and the good guys are the ones who kill those bad guys. There are no bad women in this film. And it was very popular. See how it works?
There's 2 fucking women in that movie.
See, the guys get killed by the women. And there's the male ally who attacks the man who attacks women. So that was how it was done right. And I doubt this one.
I love the first film that shows up is Everything Wrong with Sin City. That's how it's done right.
Would be happy with that because it also appeals to men. So she probably wouldn't like that. But a proper film can be done. So what she's really saying is...
So the only film that gets the messaging across of men and women is Sin City, because there's bad guys and good guys, and the good guys kill the bad guys. That's it. There's no bad women in that movie. You don't have a problem with that? That's realistic? There's no such thing as a bad woman?
That the Men movie was too honest. They didn't know how to gaslight men. And I'm glad it was made, really. I'd never go see it, but the point is...
So why are you glad it's made? What is the point of being glad a movie is made for gaslighting men?
This film shows how society sees men. And that's her issue with it. And we'll end it here.
Goodbye. We're done. So this person, as much as it must pain them to, really, again, look in the mirror. You have a very clear narrative going into this. You seem to know what the director, an Oscar-winning director, thinks. You seem to know what a studied film critic thinks. And you seem to know what a movie is about, all with no true knowledge of any of the three. You don't know a fucking thing of what you're talking about. How about read some books, go out in society, and try to have a civil conversation without this fucking gaslighting propaganda narrative. Men is a terrible movie. I've heard from numerous people, men included, that it is heavy-handed with its messaging. Alex Garland is a very good filmmaker, Watch Annihilation. I don't know if you're going to be able to handle that because there's good females in it. Hell, there's gray females in there. There's moments where a good female is tested and it borderline does bad things, and it's just lots of females in that movie. So you might explode if you try taking that in. I know you're all about just not watching movies and watching other people's opinions that rile you up, and then you have a commentary on it. Do everybody a favor. Watch the movie, set up your webcam, sit in front of it, and just spit out your honest feelings. What did you think? You shouldn't go into a movie expecting and or knowing what you're getting into. That especially when it comes to propaganda. You mocked a very good YouTuber, a very good film critique for her commentary on technical aspects of the film that were done well. Shit, the documentary that Adolf Hitler made by Riefenstahl is lauded for some revolutionary things it's done. The content of that film is atrocious, but as far as filmmaking is concerned, as far as taking strides in the technical aspects of filmmaking is concerned, there are things to be commended in that film. Dude, touch some fucking grass, bro.